This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Joining me on the phone today is Mike Montali, who is the founder, singer, and guitarist for Hollis Brown. You guys have been around since 2009, right?
Well, yeah, we started kind of hanging out in 2009, but we didn't really start playing until probably 2012. We just spent a lot of time lounging around, I guess.
The life of a musician. Well, Hollis Brown is coming to the Ram's Head on stage on Friday, August 27th for a show at 7:30 p.m. And you can get your tickets at ramsheadonstage.com. You certainly want to check out hollisbrown.com as well to get a little bit of an idea of who Hollis Brown is. And you really should do that there. And, you know, I know that I did some background. I mean, the band is named after Dylan's song, The Ballad of Hollis Brown.
Yeah, we, back in those early days when we were just hanging out in John's dad's garage in Ozone Park, Queens, we were trying to figure out, it took us a few years to kind of figure out what music we really wanted to make. You know, growing up in Queens, there's so many different, diverse kind of, and things that we like because we've been exposed to. And Bob Dylan and the Velvet Underground and the Stones, that was the stuff that we kind of bonded over. And we had heard that the Stones picked their name from a Muddy Waters song. So we said, well, let's find a Dylan tune since we want to, be songwriters. And Hollis Brown kind of stuck.
It's funny you just mentioned Muddy Waters, and his daughter is having a jazz and blues festival this weekend here in Annapolis, and she was telling us all sorts of stories. She said that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger and Eric Clapton were over at the house all the time working with Muddy when she was growing up and everything else. So it was kind of neat.
To be a fly on the wall, right?
Oh my gosh, I tell you, if the walls could talk, that's for sure. But Hollis, Queens never played into that because you are from Queens in New York.
Yeah, we're from Queens. Hollis, Queens kind of played into it a little bit. It was definitely the cherry on top, I would say, but it wasn't the initial inspiration for naming the band.
All right. Well, you and your co-founder, Jonathan Bonilla, right? You guys went to high school together?
Yeah, we went to high school together, and right around Hollis, Queens. So it's all linked, I guess.
How did the whole collaboration start? I mean, were you guys in a band in school? Were you,
we were kind of around the same group of friends, and the people who kind of were creative, I guess, and wanted to make music. But, in New York, like I said, everybody was either wanting to make hip hop or like really aggressive hardcore music. And we leaned in more toward the, rootsy Americana kind of classic rock, really great songwriting vibe. And so that kind of bonded us. And we both went away to school for a year. He went to York School of Music. I went to University of Delaware, and we said, well, let's go back to New York and give this a try. So we kind of came back and spent a few years just honing our skills. And then probably about 2011, 2012, we started really playing out in the city and started gigging locally. And then we put our first album out in 2013. And things kind of spread. We started getting into the region and then going over to Europe. And then, it's just been growing every year for us.
Is New York like, I hate to use the term, but ground zero for bands starting? Do you think, is that the city that you need to be in if you're in a band that's starting up?
I don't think so. I think you just got to be around like-minded people, I think, who want to work at it. Being in a band is hard work. A lot of people don't realize it. They just think it's all fun, but there's a lot of sweat equity that you got to put into it. And if you're willing to travel and you're willing to give it a go, you can kind of do it anywhere, especially now in the digital age. But New York is a great place because every night of the week you can kind of go out and see something and be exposed to something and be influenced by something. So I think as a creative person, it gets the senses going, and there's really a community here. But, you can kind of find it anywhere, I guess.
True. Well, I'll tell you, I was all over you in Spotify this past week, and you're welcome. Spend that 3 cents wisely.
Yeah, thank you.
But, it was funny. I was listening to, your library of music that you guys have there, and I was somewhat trying to define you. And I hate to go like, oh, well, you sound like so-and-so and so-and-so, which I'm sure you hate to hear that. Because you guys have your own original sound. And I was coming up with sort of mixed signals trying to figure out what it was. And then I read this Spin magazine, I guess back in 2009, had said, and this has got to be one of the greatest lines I've ever read, but said that you are fizz and pop like fatback on a greasy skillet.
Oh, wow. All right.
And I was like, okay, if you can envision that, I think you've got it. I mean, you're not pigeonholed, but you are, it's exciting. It's good music. It's great music. It's rock. It's got Americana roots in there as well and everything else. And I know that you've said that Hollis Brown is the last of the great American rock bands, right?
Well, I haven't said it. Sometimes I feel it, but a few other journalists have said it. But, for us, it's just kind of, we just want to be in that lineage, I guess, like all those bands that we like and that we listen to, and hopefully we're carrying on some type of American rock thing that I think is really missing in a lot of ways in the culture, and we're trying to keep it going in a lot of ways. Admirable.
Well, who do you think are the great ones that came for you? Obviously, you mentioned the Velvet Underground.
Yeah, Creedence, big influence on us. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Allman Brothers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, stuff like that. Even into the Nirvana and stuff like that into the 90s. And there's a lot of bands, but it seems like something happened there after the Strokes or after even the White Stripes and the Black Keys in that early 2000 period, where I think like American rock bands kind of got too concerned with, I don't know if it's the digital thing or what, but they got a little too concerned with trying to write a hit or trying to be relevant or I don't know what, but being authentic and just trying to create something good from the heart seems to be not the goal for musicians nowadays, unfortunately.
It's funny. I was talking to a band several years ago, and I'm drawing a blank on their name, but they developed their whole sound and their whole business model, if you will. And I mean, being a band is a business. Let's not, kid. I mean, as you said, it's a lot of sweat equity, but a lot of hard work and everything else. I mean, but they crafted their whole business around getting a theme song in for an Amazon or a Netflix series or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know. It just sort of took something out of it. I mean, because it threw it all into the studio. We've created this to be part of, whatever it may be, as opposed to getting out there and really interacting with the people. And I mean, there's nothing better than live. And these guys were horrible live.
I hear what you're saying. It's kind of short-sighted, I think, too, because sure, you get that Amazon thing, and we've been fortunate enough to have things like that happen to us in the band's career. But then it's, what's next? And if you're not willing to just keep working and keep playing and keep performing and keep trying to connect with people, I think, is the key to it. And creating stuff that is from your soul, I think that's going to take you farther long term. And a lot of people are just want to play music and then do it for a few years and then go do something else. But if you want to do it, as a lifestyle, it's a slow burn sometimes, and you got to be in it for the right reasons, I think.
Well, I mean, you have toured with some of the, what I would consider some great bands, and the Counting Crows, the Zombies, Citizen Cope. Actually, he's coming to the Ram's Head. I think like the week before you guys are.
Nice.
Actually, your Gets Loaded, the Hollis Brown Gets Loaded album, which is the tribute to Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. I was listening to that earlier this morning, and that's a great album that you did there. Was that a lot of fun to make?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to make. That was one of those records that me and John really bonded over, and we always joked to each other, like, one day we're just going to show up at a show and play it in full just for fun. And Lou Reed had unfortunately passed away, and they were doing this tribute show in New York City, and they asked us to be a part of it. And basically it was stacked with a bunch of people everybody did one song, and we just said, well, let's do the whole Loaded record, just, I don't know why, but they said, okay, you can do that, but you got to go on last.
Okay.
And it'll probably be around, 11:30 p.m. And we're like, all right, that's fine, and all of a sudden, like 2 a.m. came around, and we're still not on yet. And we're like, what's going on? But we did it, and we had a blast, and it got really good. It got reviewed really well. I think maybe like David Frick wrote about it or something in Rolling Stone. And then we were on a label at the time called Alive Records, based out of California, and the owner of the label called me and said, "Oh, you guys know the music already. Would you want to do something for Record Store Day? Just kind of go in and record it live?" And we said, "Yeah, we'd love to." And we did it. And it was supposed to be just a Record Store Day release, something like 500 copies, but they keep pressing them up, and everywhere we go now, it's play Sweet Jane or something like that. So it's kind of cool,
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. I'll tell you, and I guess it's got to be pretty heady for you guys. That, I mean, as Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground as being, an influence for you, and like you said, this is an album that you bonded with down in high school. To be, fast forward now, however many years that is, to have them sitting there saying, "Hey, you guys play me your hero," type thing, which is pretty
really
neat.
Cool. And that goes back to, I think for us, it's an organic build, and it's, why we played music was because we were, those artists changed our lives. And, hopefully we're a small part of the lineage of that American rock music.
That's awesome. And you said you got Rain Dance, which is off your Three Shots album. That was the hidden track from Bo Diddley's estate, right?
Yeah, that was a collaboration with the Bo Diddley estate. The head of the estate came to see us at a show. We just kind of got around to talking. We're big music heads and big fans of rock and roll. And she had mentioned that there were a bunch of unreleased Bo Diddley songs. And John was the one who was like, well, we'd love to hear something, just to hear it, And so after prying that, lock for a few months, she finally sent something over, and it was a really raw track, and no vocals or anything, just, but it had the Bo Diddley thing. And then we kind of got the nerve to say, hey, but if we go in the studio and kind of just add to it, would you consider using it? And they were like, that could be cool. Let's hear it. So we went in and we did the track, and they liked it, and we liked it, and it wound up being on a record. So
that's great. And I think it's pretty cool that you've got these estates, these people that are in charge of these greats that are really doing a good job of minding that. I mean, here they weren't just going to give it to anybody. They wanted to make sure that it was done right, and everything else. They gave it to you with the Bo Diddley estate. I know Mercy Morganfield is doing it for Muddy Waters, and she's just overly protective of it. She's like, you don't use that Muddy Waters name ever, and I'll come after you, and which is great that you've got the protection that's there. And I remember seeing Bo Diddley back at the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival here in town I think it was 2001 with Thorogood, Johnny Lang, Keb Mo. It was a great show.
Oh, wow. It was a stacked lineup there.
Yeah. No, they do a really good job. They haven't had it for the last couple of years, obviously, because of COVID and everything else. But, as it affected you, I mean, you can't get out and tour. I'm sure you're excited to get back out on the road as well. But yeah,
we're ready to play. We're excited for these shows. We love coming down to the Annapolis, even Baltimore area, just that whole area down there. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of good music. A lot of music heads there, and people who really appreciate it. And that venue in particular, Rams Head on stage, is such a cool room and just nice people, and it's a good vibe down there for sure.
It is. Have you played Rams Head before?
Yeah, we played down there a couple of years ago, and at this point, I want to say recently, but yeah, a couple of years ago. Feels recently, but
you're like me. I talk about things that that was like 3 years ago. Exactly. 2020 doesn't exist, but you've got a new album. Is it new, I guess, anymore? But it came out in 2019 called Ozone Park. And
in 2019, we put out Ozone Park, and we toured it for most of that year. So we got it in right before things changed a bit.
Right. Well, I was listening to that, and I kind of dig the song "The Way She Does It."
Oh, thank you.
And I was looking at the at the Spotify plays and stuff like that. It's not the most popular one on there, but this is one that really just sort of resonated. It was the window fell behind on my computer, and all of a sudden, whoa, wait, I like that. Get back, and see what that was.
Yeah, you must be like an album guy. You like the deep cuts, I guess.
Yeah, I do. I don't like I don't like the streaming stuff. I mean, I'm old and crotchety and cranky and everything else, but I just there's something about vinyl. There's something about listening to a whole album on the side. I mean, I miss that. You falling asleep and you wake up at 3 a.m. and there's the record's going. It hasn't picked up off of the end. There's something about that, and it goes hand in hand with live music to me. To be able to sit there and see, I mean, just the stuff that is just overly produced, that's created completely on computers. I mean, I get the technology has evolved and everything else. It's just, I think you've lost a little bit of the purity of song. Live music is just, incredible. And, I'm actually looking forward to seeing you guys on the 27th at ramsheadonstage.com. And there are tickets still available. But now I got a question for you. Let's say you're here. You've loaded in. Sound check is done. You're walking down the street to Annapolis, maybe going to get a hot dog down at Pip's Dogs or something like that, or a crab cake or something like that, and you run into somebody that's debating on whether they want to see your show tonight.
That actually happened last time we played.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you need to seal the deal with one song. What song do you tell them to go listen to make sure that they're sitting there front and center?
I would say it changes a lot for me, but right now, if somebody said it, I would say "Wait for Me, Virginia." It would be the song, because I think it's got the lyrical content, and it's just a well-written song, and it also has the chops of the guitar playing and the band kind of really crushing on it. So I would say that one would be the statement track from the catalog at this point.
Well, I'll tell you, as we wrap this up, I will make sure that we play that at the end, and we'll get the whole takedown notices from Facebook and YouTube and everything else when we put it there. But we'll live with that. But so everybody can get a taste of Hollis Brown, who will be at the Ram's Head on the 27th for one show, 7:30. You want to go to hollisbrown.com to check them out. You want to go to ramsheadonstage.com to get your tickets there. We are speaking with Mike Montali, who is the founder, singer, and guitarist with Hollis Brown.
Though I don't have much to give, a conviction just another couple weeks. I killed men, I've seen men kill. So wait for me, Virginia. Wait for me. Oh, wait for me, Virginia. Wait for me.
This has been a bonus podcast from Ion Annapolis. Please visit us at ionannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Ion Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.